Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV. And I want to thank Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for this opportunity to introduce everybody to something that we've been working on for a while now called ProFit, which is a team building experience. It's a workshop that builds teams in a half an hour. It's based on work we've been doing for years, and we're going to review that with you. We'll talk about its benefits and its features. And in order to complete the story, I'm inviting my colleagues, my partners, my friends to share their individual perspectives on this thing that we've created, this wonderful experience that I think we put together. And I'm going to start by bringing Mark Iorio onto the panel. Mark Iorio, gee, it's nice to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, Al. How things going?
You know, it's so we're going to be talking about ProFit, which is a whole brand new thing that's based on some stuff we've been working on for a long time. And last week on Talking Heads, I had the opportunity to discuss connecting the head with the heart. I spent a solid half hour on just that concept of associating what people know about their work with how they feel about their work. And I know this is a matter of keen importance to you because your background is precisely about that. So maybe you can offer your perspective on that, and then we'll bring Lisa out to talk about presence intelligence.
Sure. I mean, thanks, Al. I appreciate it very much. I mean, we talk a lot about, it's not just connecting the head and the heart. It's really connecting the head, the heart, and the hands, Al. And that's what we designed with ProFit. And connecting the head means that I intellectually understand that we do have an issue here with culture or alignment or a lack of team camaraderie and team building and collaboration. I understand it intellectually. Connecting the heart says to me, I believe that I need to do something about this. And lastly, the hands are, I'm willing to now go about doing something and implementing this. And so that's what we've developed between you, Lisa, and me with ProFit. It really is a 4-hour workshop to get folks to understand how we can give them the tools to show them how they can work together in a much more collaborative way, understanding from an intellectual standpoint, an emotional standpoint, and then an implementation standpoint, how to bring teams together in a more collaborative way, to help them, thrive.
You brought up something that's really kind of close to my heart. I know this is something we talk about frequently. Culture, the feeling that a group experiences when they're working together isn't just something you talk about, often complain about. It's something you do, and you're bringing in the hands. The whole idea that you connect on the concept that you're actually taking action and making a difference. I think that's really critical, and it's a perfect spot at which to bring in Lisa Manyoky, because that's actually exactly the element that she adds. Lisa Manyoky.
Hello.
You are I think when you typed in your contact information, your first instinct was to write in boss lady, and that was a familiar thing for me. But what I love about what you bring to the ProFit table is that whole idea that people can become better versions of themselves by adjusting a few things, by becoming mindful of them and adjusting them if they know what direction they're aiming at. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that whole idea of doing and turning things into action and where presence intelligence comes in.
Well, adjusting areas of life is certainly doable, but before we can adjust, we have to know who we are as individuals, what our strengths are, what we can contribute, and actually what we want to do, what we want to contribute. there's a lot of noise in early life from parents, maybe teachers, that send us down a path that might not really be our path. And it can take some time and a lot of energy, really, to figure out which path is ours. And once we find it, then we can recognize, okay, I'm really great at speaking and I want to use this to accomplish my goals. Or I'm a really strong people person and I want to make that part of my daily routine at work so that I can accomplish my goals. So once we figure that out, then we can turn up the volume on the things that really work for us and maybe minimize the volume of the things that don't, so that we can, get in life where we want to go, and in business as well.
Yeah. So applying your gifts to make contributions to the goal of the organization, whatever that might be,
Right.
that's what we're talking about. Maybe really quickly, you can explain the 9 factors of presence intelligence, the adjustable factors of presence intelligence, and how they play into all this.
All right. So presence intelligence is really the ability to align who you are on the inside with what you project on the outside. And I've determined over decades of work and studies that there are 9 areas of life that help shape who we are when we show up. They would be appearance, speaking, writing, finances, health, your career choice, the people in your life, how you interact, and very importantly, your character. So that blend of each of those arenas makes you you. And the proportions of strength in one area make you a very different person from another. And that's the beauty of individuality. But when we're looking to comprise a team of individuals, it's important that the balance between those individuals is truly collaborative and works harmoniously rather than generate conflict.
And that, I think that really does summarize it beautifully. And it also introduces the whole idea of aiming all that, which is the BCAT part of all this, the Branding Culture Alignment Toolkit part. So Mark, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that. I mean, that whole idea that if we have these gifts and we're aware of these gifts, and now we're aware of what our team needs from us, we can start making conscious decisions about how to apply those gifts if we know how to aim those gifts. Talk about that aiming function, the part that we add with BCAT.
I think over the course of time, Al, what we've found is that, with BCAT, we start with this incorporating question where we ask everyone to imagine their entire team as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day to deliver all of its promises and achieve all of its goals. What does that look like? And what we do then is we give everyone a survey instrument that you and I have developed over the last decade that has word associations in it. And basically what's going on in someone's mind is to think about this organization as though we're a business avatar, and they select specific words that are appropriate for that. Once we gather all that together and those results, we have an average of where everyone landed on our quadrant. Our next step is to find the organizational or team North Star. So that's the direction that we're talking about going in. And when we head in that direction, that North Star, we have a navigation point to look at. One of the things that I love about what we've done here with ProFit is that, it's fine to say to everyone, look, here's the North Star. Let's all jump in the vessel and head toward that spot together collectively. What we don't always know is whether or not people are dealing with any of those 9 factors that Lisa was talking about with presence intelligence. If they're dealing with financial troubles or marital troubles or health issues or whatever it might be, the chances of them coming along and rowing in that direction toward that North Star are greatly diminished. And oftentimes we think, well, gee, now that we have the North Star, everyone's going to climb in and we're going to head in that direction. And that's our guidance system. And that's fine. I mean, that sounds terrific. In practicality, what happens oftentimes is people are thinking of other things. They're dealing with other things. They're dealing with these emotions from their world, their private world. And that's where the side of presence comes in, where we work with each and every individual on the team to say, let's try to deal with some of those issues so that we can collectively, when you come to work, the culture inside your organization more easily migrates toward that North Star. And that's the beauty of combining BCAT with presence and developing this ProFit model that we love.
And we do this whole thing in half a day. I mean, that's the part that I think the part that's most impressive is that it's a half-day experience that that we can deliver on a to make it part of, to fit integrated into somebody's offsite meeting or their next Zoom meeting with their team, to create a meaningful experience that, you know, to me anyway, the magic of it is that we take that whole idea that there is a role model that represents the best of all of us when we're the member of a team. And when we combine that with the idea that we can become whoever we want to become just by making some changes, some adjustments, some by highlighting our contributions in various ways, I think that ultimately does it. And so who, maybe one of you, maybe Lisa, you want to tackle who do we design this for? Who's the principal audience for ProFit?
Oh, it's a team. So every organization is comprised of teams or departments or groups or projects. And each of those teams or departments has to work in unison to achieve the goal of the organization. Now, of course, every organization has to have appropriate regard for their bottom line. But if we lead with revenue at the cost of humanity, well, then we're going to have a problem. So the point of ProFit is to develop teams or departments in any organization of any size that need to work together to accomplish an organizational goal. That might be a specific mission. It might be a product. It doesn't really matter. A team is made of people. And before they can function well as a group, they need to be very clear about who they are and what their strengths are. Now, I've written many a job description in my career, and I can tell you, you can find people who meet the credentials and the experiential requirements of a job description, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're an ideal or suitable person for a team in order for that team to be productive. So the point of ProFit is to scale back to find individual strengths that, when blended harmoniously, make a great team that then can perform well and can contribute positively to an organization's goals.
Al,
go ahead, Mark.
May I, if I may, for a moment? People are probably watching this thinking, well, you know, why 4 hours? And you know, the process for BCAT, first of all, could take weeks, and then the protracted coaching could take months. And you're thinking to yourself, and presence is really, Lisa, you could chime in on this as well. It takes a while to get people sort of acclimated around the 9 factors of presence intelligence. What we're doing here is giving you the tools to say, here's how you can bring your team together in a short 4-hour workshop, and then you try to do this on your own. The idea here is to truncate or productize what we've developed for BCAT and presence intelligence in a 4-hour webinar, 4-hour workshop, so that you can have those tools to go forward with, right? You're not going to always be successful with that, but we're here to help you with that going forward. The process of BCAT is tedious, and it takes an effort. Make no mistake, process and purpose are not perks. And we're not saying that the things that, you know, you do for team building, like foosball tournaments and paintball and pizza parties and Taco Tuesdays, are not fun things to do. What we're saying here is that we will give you ongoing tools that can help you build that team for a more effective plan to go forward with, you know. And it's a very, very short process, right? A 4-hour process, but the ongoing benefits of it are long lasting.
we've spent a lot of time developing long-term different ways of thinking about our organizations and about ourselves. And that's where presence intelligence really shines. That's also where the brand and culture alignment toolkit comes in. But what a lot of our clients have turned out to need are those individual pivot points that happen within meetings they've already got scheduled, where what they want to do is provide the benefits of BCAT and presence intelligence in a very kind of a rapidly accelerated format, so that they can begin the transformation that they need in their organizations at a particular point in time when they pull everybody together. And it's fun to do. On top of that, we've got embarrassingly high net promoter score ratings of 10, where people generally say they'd recommend it to their friends and colleagues. Universally, it's the kind of thing that they really like doing. But from the point of view of the application of it, I know that getting people to love their work and getting people to care about their work is a big part of the value proposition for ProFit. But there are hard-nosed business people out there who want to know in dollars and cents terms what it means to them. I'm not sure which of the two of you would like to tackle that. Maybe Mark is our dollars and cents guy. Why don't we start with you?
Well, we've been working on this for quite a while, and I think, look, every person we've talked to, all the research that we've done, the value that this gives to the public for any team out there from up to 10 people, right? We price this out at $79.95, and that's $7,995 for a 4-hour workshop. Now, you may think, well, gee, that's that's really worth it, right? Well, it is worth it, and I'll tell you why. Because in every case, you know that what you want is you want the entire organization to be rowing in the same direction or singing from the same sheet of music, and that doesn't always happen. This process, this team building exercise, and the tools that we give you going forward, which include the BCAT model and presence intelligence, will give your team the opportunity to work together in a more collaborative way. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that you break down those silos, that silo thinking, the passive aggressive behavior that you often see inside organizations. You work in a much more collaborative way. You become much more productive and much more profitable. And if you follow our steps, our guidelines, your organization will become a much more fun and enjoyable place to work. Lisa and I and you, Al, have talked about this often. This becomes cyclical. You go to work and you become more productive, you're happier. You go home, you're happier. You come back to work and you're much more productive and happy and gratified with your work. So that level of gratification, that level of purpose, that level of camaraderie, team building, and breaking down those bad behaviors inside an organization is well worth it. Yeah. That is so that's how we came up with that value.
And that dollars and cents benefit to a company or to an organization or to a team translates into greater productivity, potentially more revenue, more money, depending on the application. But it's also good for not-for-profits. In fact, great for non-for-profits. A lot of our experiences with not-for-profit companies that want to reignite their workforce around the mission of the organization. And ProFit is a way to get that done very quickly within the context of a specific meeting that you have scheduled. And, every word is very carefully selected. And, this, I don't think people really appreciate how much work goes into, and Lisa's smiling through this part of the interview because she knows it's coming to her next. Every word is very carefully selected. It's thought about. It's struggled over, really, to make sure that we say what we mean and we mean when we say what we say. And so I want to kind of zero in on the word fit, because that's a word that Lisa contributed to this effort. I think it's a very significant word. And so, Lisa, maybe you'll talk about the importance of fitting in and what that means to you. And maybe you got a story or two you can share about that.
Yeah, well, in all my years of studying people and graphics and messaging and marketing, it's clear to me that the best organizations operate well and generate a good culture where people are happy are the ones that have the right fit of people with their colleagues, with their personality, and with the organization overall. So if we peel back everything beyond the values and missions of a company and the building itself, and look right specifically at the people who, maybe were interviewed for a position, those individuals are the starting point of appropriate fit. And that's where pro-fit came in. We are pro, as in for, fit, because when things fit nicely together, they're more comfortable. I mean, I often use the example of, you can have a stone in your shoe and you can still walk, but you'll walk funny and it won't feel very good. Same for a company. You can have bodies under the roof, but if they're not fitting their role, or if the role doesn't fit them, or if the team motives don't fit the organization, then they could still do their job, but it won't be nearly as comfortable and productive as if the fit was ideal. So that's where profit came in. And it's also a word that speaks to profit. No organization can ignore their bottom line, or else they don't have a company or an organization. Revenue is important, and revenue is usually stronger when performance is better and productivity is continual. So the word itself is very deep in that it's pro, people fitting the role and the role fitting them, and people fitting the organization and the team fitting the organization. It's a really deep concept that's summarized, I think, in one word. And we hyphenated it so that it was not mistakenly pronounced as profit, because even though profit is important, for some companies, the profit of revenue is not their driver. It's impact or its connection. And so whatever a company deems as its profit is a very relevant and viable goal, and needs to be identified so that the people who sign on fit that and support that cause.
Al, the other thing is that, if I may,
Sure.
Decades of research have gone into this. This is not something that Lisa, you and I just kind of dreamt up one day. This has been a couple of decades of research and experience in getting people to emotionally and intellectually get around a purpose inside an organization so that they can work together in a much more streamlined and collaborative way. I wouldn't take this lightly. This is every single organization that I've talked to thousands of companies over the last decade with respect to BCAT. I would say that conservatively 95 out of 100 organizations intellectually understand that they have a cultural issue, or an alignment issue, or a broken down team. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that, just like your own life, if you're not living a life of purpose, right? If you're not living a life where you're looking day by day to fulfill something that is meaningful to you, it's going to be a pretty empty life. And likewise, in a team, the psychological side of this and the neurological side of this is that people want to be together. They want to work together in a much more collaborative and effective way. And oftentimes, unfortunately, what happens with businesses or organizations is that they kind of just come in and mechanically go through the process day by day. They come into work and they metaphorically punch a clock. They go into their little cubicle or their silo, or now they're virtually working from a home office. And there's no real North Star, I guess, no real role target that they can collectively aspire to be or become. And what we've done with presence intelligence and BCAT, combining the two, is taking what what this research has meant to us over the last couple of decades, and combined it to make it something that no one else I've never seen before. And so the struggle out there, folks, if you're dealing with a team that is having issues, we have a tool, we have a methodology. ProFit is a methodology of getting everyone together. Now, I will tell you this: that of the 300 or so organizations that we've worked with over the last decade, you will find people that self-select out of the process. They're not interested in moving forward for whatever reason. And in some cases that's okay. That's okay. What you want are people on your team that want to pull together to make it a much more viable, effective process. So decades of research, a lot of understanding, a heck of a lot of experience, and a lot of skill set has gone into this, and it works. We know it works, and we've got the results to prove it.
That I mentioned before, kind of sideways, that I love the work we do, and one of the reasons why I love this work that we do, and we're coming up on the last couple of minutes of this particular program. There'll be other opportunities for us to talk about ProFit, and I'm looking forward to that too. But what I love about the work we do is that we start by asking everybody what they believe is the North Star of their organization. We have a very specific method for that. It doesn't require any particular heavy lifting. You don't need to have a certain educational requirement. Anybody can answer the incorporating question mark, as you pointed out. Who are we when we're doing our best work on our best day? And then we base the remaining steps of the workshop, the 4-hour workshop, on the answers that we get from everybody, which means everybody gets a voice, whether they just started with the company yesterday or they founded the company, whether they own it, whether they mop the floors and answer the phones in it. Everybody's voice is equally valuable and equally valid, and we include everyone in this process. And at the end of it, everybody gets an opportunity to contribute what they believe the organization can do individually, things, observable changes in behavior, gifts that they can present on behalf of the purpose of the team that they believe will make a difference in helping that team perform at its peak, at its highest level. And what I've loved about it is that very often the person you hear the most from is the person that everybody hardly ever heard anything from before we started working with them. The quiet voices where all the great ideas are, they emerge in this process. And that's where a lot of the really great contributions come from. And that's why, for me anyway, at the end of one of these efforts, when we're finished, what I'm proudest of is that some of the quietest people, maybe some of the most reserved people, they've really stood out as the kinds of contributors they could be. So we shift the equation from 90% of the people doing, or 10% of the people doing 90% of the work. We shift it to make it a more even playing field where everybody gets a chance to make a contribution. And people cry. I mean, people become very emotionally involved in that. And it's, for me, it's a wonderful experience. So real quick before we wrap, we've got about a minute or two left. Any last thoughts, Mark or Lisa?
I just want to let people know that in 4 hours, we do accomplish a lot, but we don't just mix up the pot and then just leave. We each have almost 30 years each of expertise and credentials and consultative and coaching abilities. So we remain available to you after the event in an ongoing capacity to troubleshoot issues that arise or to bolster the impact of the workshop itself. So it's not just a one and done or an episodic event that's hokey pokey voodoo magic. This is the beginning of something really powerful and strong and substantive and, quite frankly, for us, really gratifying.
That's really important. Thank you, Lisa. And Mark, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, I think, Al, it is gratifying. And as a former college baseball coach, it's really all about watching organizations and people become better versions of themselves day by day. And, we love doing the work that we're doing. It's our goal is to help several thousand organizations a year, a couple thousand organizations a year, find their purpose and implement it, and get these teams to work together in a more effective way. So we are so excited. We are so grateful for USA Global TV and you, Al, and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for giving us this opportunity to showcase ProFit. It's today is the official launch. We are going to get it out there, and our goal is again 2023, 2,000 companies signed up, and this is not a difficult lift. we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
And thank you, Lisa. And you know, Dr. Jacqueline, I know you're backstage pulling all the strings and making all this work. We all, on behalf of Lisa and Mark, we really appreciate this opportunity to get the word out. We are reachable at 212-480-3730. So give us a call. We'll make an appointment. We'll book a workshop, and together we'll make a difference. Thanks, everybody.